this tutorial we're going to cover how to create a frame using the frame detailing program. And this will be like a satellite, transom frame, or whatever it is, or even a borrowed light that you might need for a project or for a customer. And what we're going to do is you can associate that frame with a particular door schedule that you've built. It doesn't have to be. You can just create a frame for a customer comes in and needs a sidelight frame. No particular door schedule even built. But in this case, we're going to go ahead and use a particular door schedule. I've got one open up here now on Portal Pro. This is the customer and this is the job name. And if you look at this door schedule form, these are the frame elevations right here. And you can see we've got different elevations, A, B, and C. We've already built one for elevation B. I'll show you in a second. So we're going to do a new one for elevation C. And so to do that, what you want to do is launch the Portal Pro, the frame detailing program. And when it launches, you'll get a login form like you do here. It says the same login that you use for Portal Pro. So we'll go ahead and log in. And what it's doing, it's loading all the drop downs and everything needed to create the frame and getting everything ready for you to start drawing. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is we'll come in here and we'll select first the customer. And if you recall the customer in Portal Pro, let's see, where are you? So we want to get the same customer and job name that we have in this door schedule for Portal Pro. So we'll select 24-hour door. And when we look at the job name, you can see there's only a few in here. It doesn't have the one that we're looking for. So what we need to do is check this box to show all. Now if we hit the drop down, these are all the jobs that are in your database. And this is the job we're looking for right here. So we'll select that. And if you look under the elevations, you can see we've already got one built for B. And we're going to do one for C. So we need to type the elevation letter that we're using, or whatever that elevation is in Portal Pro. We'll use the same letter, C, for here. Now you have a lot of fields to fill in here, like the jam depth and different things like this. Now, like I said, we've already built one in here for elevation B. So to save yourself some time, we can just go ahead and select that one, because this frame is going to be the same jam depth and everything as the this elevation B that we're loading here. So you can see it has the elevation name down here at the bottom. This is the frame here. We can see all the dimensions and the parts and the size of the frame to be built. And you see by selecting that, we've already filled in all the information that we need without having to re-select all those fields. So all I can have to do is come here and change this letter. You can see everything clears out. We have no more parts over here. And now we can start building the frames, because this is all going to be the same. This might be different. We're going to do a transom frame. So I'm going to go ahead and change this, if it's in here, to transom frame. We've already built one for the side light. So everything else is going to be the same. Frame series for Curry's, you'll select that, the jam depth, and the gauge, the material, hollow metal cold rolled. So this is the just a standard discount that the frame's going to be built using. There's a part over here where you can actually see the parts and labor and how much the cost is for the frame. So we're just going to leave it on standard discount. So we're going to start building the first part. What I'm going to do is I'm going to build the header piece. So we need to select the face of the frame. It's going to be 2" for the head. You can do a 4" header if that's what you need. And then the stick type is just going to be a blank stick, because this is a piece across the head. So I'll select stick blank. Now, whenever you're building these parts, if you have a hollow metal manufacturer that's maybe that's new, it's not part of Toad or anything like that, and you really don't have all the parts built for it, you'll need to make sure that all the stick parts that you're going to be using are built in Portal Pro first, so that that's the only way you can price it out, because it has to match up the part to what you're selecting here. Okay, so what we're going to do for this header piece is just going to be a blank stick. Now we need to put in the length. So we're going to make this transom frame. Let's say it's a pair of doors, and so the width will be a pair of 3-foot doors, so that's 6 feet, and then you'll have a 2" face on each side, so that's 6 feet 4 inches. It'll be the overall header width up here. So we're going to put in 6 feet 4 inches, and because this is the header, this will have glazing bead on it. I'll show you that in a second. The glazing bead will just be on the inside of that frame, which will be 6 feet. Now, the first thing we need to do is make sure we select the glazing bead that we're going to use. So we'll just hit this button right here. Now it says the glazing bead's already selected. That's because I selected that previous frame. But just to make sure, we'll just make sure it's the same glazing bead we want to use. It's a glass stop, 10 feet, 5/8 by 5/8. And you can see it's got the multiplier and the cost and everything over here. And that's the total length of that stick piece. It's 126 inches. So that's how it's going to calculate the cost for each one of these. It takes that total length and divides it by however many feet we put in here, and that'll be the actual cost. So this one's going to be 6 feet 0 inches. Now over here we have, I skipped over these two check boxes, vertical and horizontal. Vertical means it's going to draw the piece up and down. Horizontal means it will draw it left to right. So this is a header piece, so we want to make sure we select horizontal. Over here we want, as a checkbox, on whether or not to show dimensions, and I do want to show the dimensions, so we're going to leave that checked. And this shows the dimensions will be either to the left if it's vertical, or on top if it's horizontal. This is right if it's horizontal, or bottom if it's, right if it's vertical, bottom if it's horizontal. So this is going to be a header piece. I want the dimensions to be on top, so we'll leave this checked. We'll get to this in a second, so don't worry about this. So that now we have our part, it's ready to go. So I need to click this button, draw. And when I click it, you can see there's a part number, a part that's been drawn on the form. If I move my mouse down, now you can see the part starts following my mouse. So now I can position this with the mouse wherever I need it in the frame, on the form. So I'll leave this centered. Make sure we do it high enough so we have room for the side pieces. And I'll left click. Now, once I left click, you can see that it's added this part up here. And this is all the information on this particular part. The glazing bead, total length, left top, true. So now I'm ready to build the next piece. But before I can do that, I have to right click on the form. And I should, let's delete this part. We'll do this again. So that's how you can remove a part if you make a mistake. I just double clicked it so it became active over here, and I clicked delete part, and it completely removes the part from the drawing. So we're going to do this thing over again. Everything's still the same, so I'll click draw. And when I get it where I want it, I left click with the mouse. You can see it stops flashing. Now you can see I can't draw another part yet because this button, draw button, is grayed out. It's disabled. That's because I have to right click on the form. And when I right click, you'll see this button becomes active again. Now I can draw the next piece. So the next part I want to draw is this vertical piece here. This is actually a hinge jamb, because this is going to be a pear opening. So I need to reselect the stick. Will be, let's use a 7/0, and this will be that will actually be a right hand hinge. So I'll select this option right here, stick hinge 7/0 right. Now this will have a piece of glazing bead. This is going to be a 1 foot transom above the doors with a 2-inch mullion in between. So there will be 1 foot of this piece will have a glazing bead. So I want to change this to 1 foot. And this is going to be vertical, so I want to select it here. And I want the dimensions to be on the left, since this is a vertical part. So once I get everything here, I do want to show the dimensions. I'll click draw. And you can see there's the part now. So I'll move my mouse down. All I have to do is move the mouse and move the part right where I want it. Left click, and then right click. And there it is. And I made a mistake. I made it 6 feet 4 inches. So what we're going to do is, this is the second piece here that we added to the list. All I have to do is double click it, and this will actually be the door is 7 feet plus 2 feet 2 inches for the mullion, plus 1 foot for the transom, or the glass opening. So this will be 8 feet and 2 inches. Now the problem is, if I redraw this, it won't change the size of this. So I'm actually going to have to delete this to redraw it. So let's go ahead and delete this part. And we'll come back and change this to 7 feet. I'm sorry, 8 feet 2 inches. And 1 foot of glazing bead. Now I can draw it. And I can see the piece is a little bit longer. Get in place, left click, and right click. And now I'm ready to draw the next piece. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I want to show the different dimensions of the, like the glass. We've already shown the height here. What I'm going to do is I want to show the 2-inch face of this frame right here. So what I can do is we're going to change this to stick blank right here. 2-inch face. We'll take this stick length, make it 0. I'm going to leave the 2 inches because that's the face width. And this will be a horizontal piece. I'm sorry, we're going to make this a vertical piece because I want the dimensions to show on the frame. And let's see, we'll make this, we'll leave it on the left, doesn't really matter. Let's go and make it right, on the right side. Now this time, I need to take the glazing bead out, so I'll make this 0. This time I want to check this box, do not cost, because it's actually going to add a little 2-inch piece in here, and I don't want it to cost it out because I've already got the whole part shown for costing. So I'll click draw. You can see a little tiny spot just showed up over there, right here. So what I'm going to do is bring this over and position it as close as I can to that left click, and now I've got a dimension showing the 2-inch face here. So now what I want to do is I want a piece that's going to show the glass size, the glass opening. So what I'll do is do another piece over here. This is going to be 1 foot. It's still going to be a blank face, and I will have 1 foot of glazing bead. This will be 0 inches. And let's see, we do want it to cost. I want the dimensions to show on the right. That will be a vertical piece. Well, I didn't right click on the frame. I can't click here, so I have to right click. Now I can draw a new part. And this one I'm going to position right here, so now we have a dimension showing our glass size. Now we've got a mullion we need to put in here. So this mullion is going to be blank right here, because you can't do a mullion with a hinge or a strike. 2-inch face, the length is going to be, I want it to be, just show the dimension inside here. So that's 6 feet, 0 inches. We're going to have 6 feet of glazing bead. Oh, I need to right click down here because I can't draw it yet. So I'll right click, now I can draw a new part. And the dimensions I want to show, let's put it on top. Oh, we need horizontal, yeah. So I want the dimensions to show on top, so it will show inside the glass size, glass opening. And make sure this is cost is not checked. We'll click draw. And there's our mullion, so we'll bring it over here. I want it to touch in that little corner on the right, and then right there. So there's our, oh, I left it on the bottom. I meant to put this dimension on the top. Okay, that's fine. Now I need to right click. Now to show the dimension, the face dimension of this mullion, I need a stick in here that's 2 inches. So we're going to do a blank stick, and we'll make it 2 inches. No glazing bead. And what was my other one? Right here, 2 inches, okay. So that was left, top, false. So that was horizontal, right. I want it to be the same as this little 2-inch piece I did here. Now this one I do want it to cost because this is a part that we need and the total cost of the frame. So that'll be right, okay, so now we'll click draw. Oh, got my dimensions on the wrong side, okay. So I'll left click. Oh, I didn't select it. Double click my last part here. Now click delete. Yes. Okay. Okay, that was vertical. So that must be right. Okay, my mistake. All right, let's draw this again. Now we'll come over here, position this guy into part position. Left click. Now we have our 2-inch dimension for the mullion. Now we need the rest of the stick over here for the hinge jamb for the right side. So this one will change to a 7/0 left, because that's a left-hand hinge jamb. And this one will be 7 feet. This one's going to be 0 inches. No glazing bead. It'll be vertical, and I want the dimensions on the right. So click draw. Put it in place, left click. I didn't match up the lines here, so I want to go ahead and delete that and redraw it. So I'll double click here, delete part, yes. Okay, redraw it. There we go, I want those lines to match up. Okay, so now I'll right click, and there's our frame. So I've got dimensions showing. The only thing I need is the face dimension for these two sides right here. So let's do another 2-inch. Now you can leave these face dimensions out if you want. It's up to you. However you want to make your drawing, it's all your call. One thing you can do here, you have this button called Add Notes. If I click this, you get a box over here. So I could type in here, all face dimensions to be 2-inch. And that will pretty much tell you the whole frame is going to be a 2-inch face. So I could leave all these little 2-inch things out of here. Any way you want to do it. Now let's say I also want to say and depth is 5 3/4. So anything you want to say in here, maybe also class to be 1/4 inch clear laminated. So that'll show what the glass is to be in this transom. Let's see what else we have. All right, so let's go ahead and add these 2-inch pieces. And I think I want it vertical, so there won't be any glass bead. I do not want to cost it. Let's go ahead and draw and see what we get. Yep, I want the dimensions to show the other way. So left click, come down here. I do have to double click this, unfortunately. Double click it, and then click delete. I should just look at, I want to do the same as a header. So a header would be horizontal with dimensions on top. So that's what I should have done. Let's try to draw it again. There we go. So I can stick this right in here. The 6'4" goes all the way across, or I could put it down here if you don't want the dimensions overlapping like they do here. Because this is the overall length, 6'4" of the frame. Another thing I could do is something like this. We'll come back down here. Let's delete this guy. We'll go ahead and redraw it. I could move it inside here like this. If you want to show it this way. That shows a 2-inch face dimension. And I could create another one over here. I have to right click to make it permanent. Click draw again. I'll put another one over here. Now I've got the face dimensions all the way around. I could have put it down here if I wanted. So once you get everything completed, you have the frame drawn. You can see I've got the elevation C that shows down here. Now what I want to do is create a part number. Now I can't, this part number is already in here because I had selected this B over here. What you want is you're going to need a distinct part number for this. In other words, if I click the drop down, you can see that is in the list. So you want to come up with a part number that's not part of the list of frames. So you can name these any way you want. You can see in this one I did the same M series 16 gauge 5 3/4. I put SL for a side light, and then the job number and the elevation that identifies it for this particular job. So I could do the same thing here, but what I'll do is I'll just take this B letter out, make it a C. This is going to be a transom frame. We'll want to make sure we take this out here when we clear this field. Because what it's going to do, it's going to create a PDF cut sheet that you can use inside of the your door schedule that will be included. So once we have, make sure we've got everything what we need. Before I do that though, I want to show you, go step over here. Parts and labor. We should finish this also before anything else. You can see these are all the parts up here. Anything that is to be not shown in the cost, you can see is true. So all these little pieces are not included in the material cost. So we don't have the material cost yet. We're going to have to save this thing. But what we want to do is save the labor. And you can use, if you have Currys in here, not sure if they have. Let's reselect Currys, because that'll load the discounts for the supplier. See there. Labor. I don't recall if there's any welding charges built in here or not. So I'm not familiar with Currys enough to know. I'm sure any Currys distributors using this out there will probably know. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the company name, which is going to be Contract Door Company. That's my sample company that I have here. And now if I click my drop down, I've got welding charges I can add, like right here, W2. That's a 2-inch face. So I'll select that. And if you remember on the drawing, we've got two 2-inch face intersections here and here. Then we've got 2 mullion intersections. So I want the quantity here to be 2. And that's the standard discount for my company for welding charge. It's $12. You can, whatever yours would be, you'll adjust accordingly. And there won't be any freight in or surcharges, so that's blank. So I'm going to go ahead and save the labor. So now we have a 2-inch, 2-inch face welds. I'm going to add one more. That's for the 4-inch face. There's going to be 2 of those. Save the labor. Now we've got the glazing bead. attaching the glazing bead. So there's 6 feet here, another 6, that's 12, 13, 14 feet of attaching glazing bead. And let's see, GVA, I believe that's it. Yeah, that's attached glazing bead per foot. And I have 14 feet. It's $2 a foot, save labor. And that's our, all of our labor charges comes to $82. So once all this labor is done, if there's anything else you need to add it in accordingly. We'll come back over to the drawing. So we want to make sure all that's done before we save the part, because this will create an actual part for you and add all those components, which will be all of this, parts and labor, to the component table, so that the next time you pull this frame up in a sales order or something, it'll know which components to pull in. Alright, so once we've done that, we've got our part number we're going to use up here. This is going to be the same job, elevation C, and again, name this any way you want, but it has to be a distinct name. That's not included in your drop down here. And the description, so we're going to click Save Part Number and create PDF. Oh, that's what we did. Okay, I didn't save it first. I'm glad this popped up. So we'll say OK to this. I actually didn't even right click yet for that last part, so let's go ahead and right click. This is the Save Parts button here. Okay, sorry about that. So what we need to do is make sure that we've saved all the parts. We'll click OK. Take a look at parts and labor. You see there's a material cost, $187.79, labor, and then average freight and surcharge. We'll add all that in. And that's the glazing bead cost. Now this is a total inches of glazing bead, because it's calculated by the inch. And then the total cost comes to $299.09. So once everything's been finalized, like so we want to change this to a letter C, and clear this out here. And once we're ready to save it, create it, it will create a PDF file that can be used in the door schedule. So we'll click Save Part Number. We'll say yes to this. Okay, now they haven't changed. Let's say. So now it's asking us where we want to save it to. So let's save it in a place where if somebody else were to need this frame, that they, like a shared drive, that they could get to that drive. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to, in this case, we're going to save it in the documents. Let's see, let's do the Porta-Pro doors. Okay, there's a job right there from something else it does. So I'm going to go ahead and use this folder here. I'll say OK. It tells us that's where the file's been saved to. And it's going to open it up. So this is the PDF file that can be used in the door schedule. We'll go ahead and close that out. Now we'll cover exporting. That's under this tab here, where you can export it to a door schedule, a sales order, estimate, things like that, and another tutorial. You can even copy this frame if you want to use it on another job. You can do that also. So like I said, we'll cover that in a different tutorial. So that should cover it on this. If you have any questions on creating these door frames, A couple buttons I didn't cover up here. This says, this, as you can recall, was if we need to delete a part. Here you can start all over. You can delete all the parts and just, it'll delete the whole thing and you can start all over. New drawing. And of course this is the close button to close the whole form out. Of course, clear notes. This button, clear all. By the time I release this, that button's I'm going to move it over here because that will actually clear the whole thing out too, which it's almost the same as deleting. So we probably don't even need that. It should be just clear the fields over here. And this about, that just gives you, opens the about box for the frame detailing program that gives you the version. Okay, so again, this is the path where the cut sheet was saved to, if you ever need to pull it up again. And that should cover it. Again, any questions or things we have on creating these frames, please give us a call. I'll be more than happy to help you out. Thanks.